Assalamu alaikum students. How are you? Hope you all are fine. This is week 4 and lecture number 1. Chapter number 4, cells and tissues, and today's topic diffusion and facilitated diffusion. Here are some objectives to summarize the concept of the diffusion and to explain about the facilitated diffusion. First of all, I will tell you about the diffusion. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of molecules from an area of higher concentration to the area of lower concentration. The molecules of substance, solid, liquid or gases are in motion when the substance is above the 0 degree Celsius. So, in easy words, you can say diffusion is the movement of the molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration, area of the lower concentration. There is not a consumption of any type of energy. This is the free flow of molecules. Like if the solute is more at one place, the molecules of the solute travel from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Here you can see the molecules from the higher concentration are traveling to the lower concentration. Here you can see the diffusion in a substance. The majority of the molecules move from higher to lower concentration, although there are some that move from the low to high. The overall movement is from high to low concentration. Eventually, the molecules reach a state of equilibrium, where they are distributed equally throughout the area. It means that in a solution, if some molecules are moving from the higher concentration to the lower, but so there are some other molecules which are very less in amount, which are traveling from higher to lower to higher concentration, but at the last the solution or the area, it reaches to the equilibrium position, so they are distributed equally, all the molecules are distributed equally throughout the area. So we can say when the state of equilibrium reaches, the process of diffusion stops. You can see the movement of the substances within a cell. It is by the diffusion, as well as across the cell membrane. Carbon dioxide, oxygen, glucose and many other molecules, but small molecules, not the large one like protein, fats. They are not diffused through the cell membrane. They have to travel by some other medium. So you can say the gases and the glucose and the very small molecules, they can cross the cell membrane by the diffusion. They can go inside, they can come outside. This is all due to the method of diffusion. Here the exchange of gases take place. You can see in this diagram. Here is the blood plasma, and the red blood cell has shown in the diagram that carbon dioxide is diffused inside and oxygen is moving toward the tissue cells. The gases exchange from the gills of the fish and the lungs occurs by this process. Movement of the glucose molecule and from the small intestine lumen into the blood capillaries of villi is another example of diffusion, because a cell does not expend energy when molecules diffuse across its membrane. The diffusion is a type of passive transport. It means the passive transport is that type of transport in which there is no energy expenditure. They can travel on their own expense or they can travel by their own. No energy is here. In this diagram, you can see there is a simple diffusion and carrier mediated facilitated diffusion, channel mediated facilitated diffusion and osmosis. 4 different processes as shown in this diagram. We are on the simple diffusion, but you can see the difference in all. Simple diffusion is only without energy, molecules can travel from higher to lower concentration. But by the carrier mediated, there must be some carrier like protein or any chemical or any substrate that can transport the molecules from one place to another. Channel mediated means there are some channels which facilitate the diffusion. So as the osmosis is also another method, in this method diffusion of the solvent such as water through a specific channel protein or through the lipid bilayer. Facilitated diffusion is the next type of diffusion in which many molecules do not diffuse freely across through the cell membrane because of their size. So there is another method which is called facilitated diffusion, as by the name indicates. To facilitate the process of the diffusion, there are some carrier proteins which facilitate the process of diffusion, and such molecules which are large and which cannot diffuse freely across the membrane, they can take in and out of the cell with the help of the transport protein. So when the transport proteins moves a substance from a higher to lower concentration, the process is called facilitated diffusion. The rate of facilitated diffusion is higher than the simple diffusion. Facilitated diffusion is also a type of passive transport because there is no expenditure of energy in this process. In other words, we can say facilitated diffusion is also the the process of diffusion is facilitated by the carrier proteins, and there is also not the expenditure of energy. So this is also the passive type of transport. Here you can see the facilitated diffusion. Passive transport and simple diffusion is without protein, and molecules can transport from higher to lower, but in the facilitated diffusion you can see the proteins which are here shown in the purple color, and they can carry the molecules from one area to another. How molecules cross the membrane facilitated diffusion? Molecules are too large or charged to diffuse on its own. Can diffuse if there is a specific transport protein channel. It means the larger molecules such as glucose, amino acids, they cannot diffuse across the cell membrane. So there are such channels like sodium and chlorine channels, and there are some proteins as well, and these proteins can carry the molecules from outside to the inside or from inside to the outside. The movement of molecule is still passive because in this there is no expenditure of energy. Here you can see the process of facilitated diffusion is very clear in this diagram, like transport protein in yellow color, and movement from the higher to lower with the help of the transport protein, and side by you can see the simple method of diffusion is also shown in the diagram. Here is also the simple diffusion versus facilitated diffusion. There is only the difference of the carrier proteins. Otherwise both processes are equal and same. In both, the molecules from the higher concentration to the lower concentration are transported. Okay students, here is a YouTube video. You can see, click on the link and you can see for further visual concepts of the diffusion and the facilitated diffusion. Here is your assignment. You have to write the note on the diffusion and you have to make the diagram as well. And the second one is you have to describe the differences between the diffusion and the facilitated diffusion. You have to take the help from book page number 69. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you in the next lecture. And in the next lecture we will also discuss the transport methods, but they may be active transport and others. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.